Good morning, students, and today we are going into grade 12 topic of reproduction. That's the first unit which students are studying in grade 12, biology, reproduction. Now, I don't have to say much about the basics of reproduction because reproduction, the basic, what is reproduction, what is the significance of reproduction, types of reproduction even you are studying or you are supposed to learn in grade 8 or in grade 9 maximum. So here, in your Cbse grade 12, when you are coming, you are supposed to learn some of the things which are basically the types of reproduction and how does it use in different examples in plants and animals. But still, once again, I will tell you the definition of reproduction. It's a method or a process by which an organism continues its generation. So it's a process of continuation of a particular species or production. The right word I will tell you, perpetuation. Perpetuate a plant and animal into its own kind. That particular process is called reproduction. Having their own offspring. In this topic today, I would like to introduce you to the differences or similarities, if exist, between sexual and asexual reproduction. So, when we go first towards the asexual reproduction methods, we primarily have to deal with microorganisms. Because microorganisms like a bacteria or fungus, they are believed to be the life forms or the living organisms which are exhibiting asexual reproduction majorly. What is asexual reproduction and how microorganisms like bacteria and fungi became examples for them? First of all, the cells in one part of the body divide by mitosis and then break off from the parent to form a new organism. In order to understand this particular definition or this particular statement, what is given over here, you need to know mitosis. There is no doubt about that. So only students who know mitosis. What is mitosis? It's a type of cell division. You might have studied again in your previous classes of grade 9 or 10. It's a kind of cell division where somatic cells or normal body cells undergo replication, undergo multiplication. Our normal skin cells in the body or internally organ lining cells and all, they reproduce very quickly, maximum 7 to 8 hours or 10 hours, 12 hours, in which one cell dies and another cell originates, takes birth. Okay, that is mitosis. Meiosis is happening only in reproduction, that is in the sex cells or in the gametes called sperm and ovum. We will come to that. We will come to meiosis and we will come to all these divisions in sperm and ovum later in a topic. Here, coming back to mitosis is what we require for a body to divide. One particular point I will tell you to clarify here, that is called a parent. Break off from the parent to form a new organism. That means you will be thinking, I am born of my father and the mother. Two parents are there, father and mother. Because of them, I am here, is what you will be thinking. Then why, sir, you are telling in this video that there is a parent to form a new organism? So, the first speciality, the first feature in asexual reproduction comes into point over here. That means asexual reproduction requires only one parent, one organism. So, irrespective of this gender, we don't want to distinguish them into male or female. No need. Any organism, whether it is male or female, they are able to, or they should be able to, they have a capacity to divide by mitotic divisions or mitosis, divide by mitosis and form a new organism. That means there is no contact. There is no contact between male and female. There is no sexual activity happening between them. There is no mating happening between them. One organism is multiplying into that many numbers. How much you want? Hundreds, thousands, millions of copies of organism can be produced by asexual reproduction. What will be the consequence? Second point. You can see here, all the offsprings are genetically identical. We call it by a name, clone, isn't it? We call it by the name clone, means genetically identical. Genetically identical or cloning means that every single aspect will be similar. Even the fingerprint is supposed to be similar in a clone. You know, twins. Twins are different. Fraternal twins and identical twins. There are two types of twins. Fraternal and identical. Identical twins even, the fingerprint can be different. Fingerprint can be different. Even identical twins. But in clone, no way. They are 100% identical to each other. From which parent body the clone, the tissue is being taken. That is why they are called genetically identical. Last point, these organisms all reproduce. What you see over here in the picture, they all reproduce asexually. Who are these? Like the bacillus species are being given, the bacterial, or even if it is a hydra that is being given. Hydra you have studied, 9th and 10th. I know that. In previous class or in primary classes, you know about a hydra. It's a coelenterates. But it is a multicellular organism. So, there are some invertebrates also which reproduce asexually. Spores formed of bacteria, they are all. So, spores or like bacillus species, rod-shaped bacteria, or even up to the size of hydra. Many of the organisms reproduce asexually. So, like when we call about microscopic fungi or smaller organisms like a yeast, an E. coli bacteria, which is rod-shaped or bacillus-shaped as I told, or even if it is a hydra as an animal which has been coming over here as examples, many examples. So, you can, I am not saying that these are the only examples, you can think about any examples of microorganisms or lower organisms or invertebrates which are examples of asexual reproduction. Now coming to sexual reproduction. Now sexual reproduction, as I told you, straight opposite of what you studied of asexual. Sexual reproduction needs parents, needs two individuals, a male and a female. There is gender importance over here. Male and female, the sex of an individual is important. There is mating. There is fertilization. So, simple, very simple, basics of sexual reproduction. Sex cells are required, gametes are required. Which are the gametes? Sperm and ovum. So, there are two types, a male gamete and a female gamete. So, extensive study or elaborate study of a male gamete called sperm and a female gamete called ovum, which will be coming later to you in some other units, subtopics of this chapter. But here, just remember that sex cells name one word, gamete, okay, male and female gamete. The male gamete must move to the female gamete and fuse. Why it is written like that? Male gamete must move to the female gamete and then fuse. Why can the female gamete can move? Why the females don't have hands and legs to move? Coming back, what I told you, a female gamete is an ovum or a male gamete is a sperm. You need to understand their movement ability or also called mobility. Ovum or female gamete cannot move. They are immobile. They are stationary. They will be produced. It is definitely living. It's a cell. It is one of the largest cells in human body. A female gamete or an ovum is the largest cell in human body ever. Sperm is second largest. So, because it is immobile, it doesn't move, the other guy has to move. Who is that? Sperm has to move. That is why it is written sperm or the male gamete must move to the female gamete and fuse. This fusion is what we call fertilization. So fertilization means fusion of two gametes, male and female gamete. So sometimes fertilization is also been denoted by another name which we call syngamy. Grade 12, I request you to be more reading text. Textual reading is very important. So when you read texts, those who are thinking about or planning about a good percentage, 90%, 95% above, I request you to read more than one textbook. You should read two textbooks by two different authors or two different publications. Why? Because so many terms you will get. And many of you grade 12, I know that you will be appearing for your entrance exams, isn't it? You will be writing your MBBS or engineering entrance exam. So you need extensive reading, learning. Don't depend on just one textbook and think that, okay, this is enough for me. No. Then only you will get such terms. So syngamy, what I have written over here, syngamy is another name. Syn, word syn means fusion. Gamy comes from the term gametes. So fusion of gametes, in the name itself, this particular word is here. Syngamy means fusion of gametes. So fusion of gametes or syngamy, that is why the name we can use over here, fertilization. So once again, the male gamete is called the sperm and the female gamete is what we are talking about is ovum. Now sperms, nobody says sperms. There is no singular, plural word of sperm. It is sperm only. That is understood. But ova is a plural for ovum. Ovum is singular. Ova is plural. Now sperms are more in number which is being produced. Millions in per ejaculation. Ova also produced in numerous number, but not like sperms number. We will talk about that in the sub-unit of the same chapter when we'll talk about that. Now, going to the next page or the next slide, you can see the next point. Definitely, we are expecting a product, isn't it? We are expecting a product of fertilization. What is the product of fertilization? The young one, the offspring. Now, so many names for that also. That's why biology is that interesting, isn't it? That vast. There are so many terms for one single concept. Young one, offspring, also called zygote. So zygote or a young one, that is the final product or a consequence of fertilization. Now you can see, as I told you about mitosis or mitotic cell divisions, what all things we are expecting. So first of all, when you see an egg and a sperm unite to form a zygote undergoes mitotic divisions first. Before meiotic divisions, we come to cell division, mitosis and meiosis, I will teach you. But before that, first, a zygote which is one cell becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 64. So that is a kind of multiplication. The cells are dividing and dividing into multiple group which later comes to, we call it by the name embryo. Now you will be thinking, sir, what is this difference? It's all the same. It's all young one. Why here it is called zygote and here it is called embryo? Interestingly, there is another third name, fetus. So we are not finishing only with embryo and zygote. 3 names. I will tell you the reason why. In medical sciences, we use 3 names according to the stages of growth of a child. Stages of growth of a child. As soon as fertilization happened, product is obtained, we call zygote, no doubt. Then, for the next 2 weeks to 4 weeks, that zygote is being named embryo. We call it as embryo. Embryo's 3rd day. Embryo's 1 week old. Embryo is 3 weeks old. From the 2nd month, they call fetus. Because organs starts to form, brain starts to develop, heart is already formed, it's breathing, fetus is a growing child. Till delivery, 9th month, it is being called fetus. Then the delivery happened, we call baby is born. Okay, so these are some of the terms. We will explain more about these differences in the word zygote, embryo and fetus and all. Now, as I told you, sexual reproduction definitely involves gametes. Male gametes, sperm are produced in the testis. Location, where is it produced? Testis. Ova is produced in ovaries. Sperm and testis is a little bit not that related terms, so it will be difficult for you to remember, but ova, ovaries, you should be. Common sense. Ova, ovary. So, ova or ovum is produced from ovaries. So, ovaries are the female reproductory part. Testis is a male reproductory part. Now, after mitosis, I told you there is another cell division stage called meiosis. Meiotic cell division. The cells in these organs, which are the organs? Testis and ovary are the organs. We call it by a name. We call it by a name. What is that? The organs have been given a different name. Even when you study system or glands, we call it by gonads, a name. Sex glands, also called gonads. Gonads, testis and ovary. Okay, testis and ovary are the gonads or the sex glands. So, these are the organs which we are mentioning over here. So, these cells in these organs, that means the cells inside testis and cells inside ovary, they divide by meiosis. And meiosis produces cells that are not genetically identical. That means mitosis makes identical individuals, meiosis makes different individuals. Think about yourself. Are you 100% similar to your dad or to your mom? No, isn't it? We are different. Of course, we inherit some of their characteristics like height, weight, color, skin color, nature, talent, skill or something like that. We inherit a little bit. But are we 100% similar? No. 10% we look like dad, 10%, 20%, 30% we look like mom, something like. There can be chances, but not 100%. And who is making this change? Meiosis is making this change. So meiosis, the main significance of meiosis is not only producing daughter cells or a division in the number of chromosomes, which I will be talking later in another subunit of genetics, but also the main significance of meiosis is to not have genetically identical organism. We need to have variation, change is required in individuals. Now, what will happen from the original cell when meiosis happens? In meiosis, 4 cells are formed. In mitosis, multiplication. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, as I told you. So, what I am going to write over here is very important that you need to understand that how there is a difference between mitosis and meiosis. So, in mitosis, and what will be the difference in meiosis? Mitosis takes place in normal somatic cells. Normal body cells are called the somatic cells. Meiosis takes place in sex cells or gamete. Okay? Meiosis takes place in sex cells or gametes. Mitosis takes place in somatic cells. Another thing, mitosis, for doing mitosis, it needs any organism. Irrespective of the sex, male or female, nothing matters. Just any organism is able to undergo mitosis. Meiosis, we need two partners. So here, any organism means one parent, either male or female. Mitosis will happen. Here, two partners. That means there requires male and female in meiosis. Then, what? Mitosis is multiplication division, or I will write over here doubling division. It helps in doubling. For example, like 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16. It goes like that. 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, it's like that. Meiosis, if 1 is there, it will make it into half and then it will make it into 1 by 4. That means it is a reduction division. Meiosis helps in reducing or the chromosome number getting reduced to half. 1, then to half and then to 1/4. So, you don't think much about this 1, 2 and 1 by 2 and 1 by 4 much. That in another subunit when we study about spermatogenesis and oogenesis or the division stages when we study, I will explain to you at that time. Now you just remember one thing, that mitosis is doubling division or multiplication division, or meiosis is also called reduction division. Now coming to the next topic of a gamete in detail, which we call a sperm. As you can see the structure, the sperm is divided into 3 parts distinctly. Distinctly means very clear. There is a head, there is a neck and there is a tail. The sperm has a head, a neck and a tail. Head is very important because head entirely can be called as a term. I don't need to draw anywhere, the diagram is there. Entirely the head part we can call as acrosome. Acrosome contains protein, the DNA and the nucleus. What DNA? The DNA of the father, DNA of the parent, the male, the father. The DNA is contained over here in the head part, the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, this DNA is being found. So that is the most important thing. And this part of the sperm is the one which needs to actually get into the ovum to fertilize. Other things are just making it as a medium to reach there. That means the tail is the one with its whipping movement, or because of the movement of the tail, the sperm swims to the ovum. That means this is just a locomotory structure. Definitely there is mitochondria, axial filaments, centrioles and all those things which you will study later when I elaborate about sperm structure. The head contains the genes from the father in the nucleus, I told you. And the third point says acrosome digests its way into the egg for fertilization. Digest into the way means penetrate, goes into and penetrates the egg, and then we can call it as fertilization. Now the cell division. What is cell division? Cell division as a whole, as I told you, we can divide them into 2 stages, mitosis and meiosis. So, mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis is here, meiosis is here. The differences which I already taught you. Mitosis, duplication division, doubling division, equational division. 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16. Meiosis, reduction division. Both are happening in cell division. And there is another thing, what you need to study is that the name of the gametes are also being changed over here. We call it as haploid and diploid cells. Haploid and diploid cells. What is this haploidity and diploidity, or this particular property? How does it exist, that also you need to study. So, haploid means, I will help you in segregating or splitting the term meaning. Ploidy, word meaning, a set. Ploidy means a set. Haploid, comes from, you can easily remember like this, half a set of chromosome. Half a set is called haploid. So, what is the number of chromosomes in man? All of you know, which you have studied in grade 9. 46 is a number. We have 46 chromosomes. Human beings have 46 chromosomes, a man and a woman. 23 pairs. Okay. So, this 23 pairs is, or making 46 is a number, total number of chromosomes in human beings. Okay, so the way diploid and haploid is been different. So, like as I told you, how to remember these particular terms, it's actually easy. That makes biology a bit different from other subjects. That means many of the terms which I told you in the beginning of one class, that terminology can be tough to some students. But if you understand the basic reason why so much of terms are there, and many of the meanings of these terms are there inside the word itself. That's what I just now told you about haploid and diploid. So, haploid, coming back, haploid is half a set. So, half a set makes it how much? 46. If it's the actual number, its half is 23. So, 23 is a number of chromosomes which is haploid. So, that what will be diploid? So, diploid will be the full set of chromosomes. How much is the number? 46. So, easy formula, n equals 23. So, 2n becomes 46. This is haploid number and 46 is the diploid number. N is equal to 23, 2n is equal to 46. So, that is haploid and diploid. Here, a haploid has to be the gametes. So, sperm or ovum is haploid. When both the sperm and ovum unite during fertilization, 23 plus 23, a diploid will be the zygote. So, the child, the grown child or the formed child of the zygote will be diploid, having 46 chromosomes. So, 23 from the father, 23 from the mother. Haploid number comes united, combined to form a zygote which is diploid. So, that is what is written over here. This produces haploid cells with only half the number of chromosomes, and in zygote it gets back everything remaining and it is a diploid cell. So, these are the basic things what we studied today, the differences between sexual and asexual reproduction and how mitosis and meiosis is involved and which are the sex cells which we study. So, repeat. I am just repeating what we studied as a summary. Genetically identical organisms needs only one parent. They use mitosis and they are very quick and there is no variation. That is one disadvantage that you see over here. When we learn about asexual, there is no variation. But Charles Darwin has already mentioned many years back itself that in order to have evolution, in order to have advancement in the world, we need to have changes, variation. Who is giving that? Sexual reproduction. So, sexual reproduction gives or produces variation or changes. That is why we are different from our father and mother. So, they need two parents, genetically different, undergoes meiosis. So, this is a basic difference between sexual and asexual reproduction, and basic is very easy to understand how sexual and asexual differs and what are the things that are required to make happen an asexual reproduction in invertebrates or lower organisms and sexual reproduction in higher animals including human beings. Hope you understood. Give feedback and waiting for the questions for this unit in the next session with you. Thank you.